Shalom. We are in Parasha Noach. That means Noah. If you read Noah from left to right, it's the word chen. That means grace. So Yahweh, or Noah, found grace in the eyes of Yahweh. And what you can see there is your name is your destiny and your character. So Noah had the means to extend grace to the household whom Yahweh selected to redeem during the time of judgment. And 8 souls were saved. So we see the number 8 again. We see a new beginning. We see a cycle ending and a cycle starting. So from Bereshit, Genesis 1 verse 1 to Genesis, I think it's 7 or 8, where the flood happened, that is a full cycle which had creation in the beginning. It also had the generations who came forth during that time, and that cycle, the people grew 1,000 years old. They became 1,000 years old, which is totally different to the next cycle, which started with Noach and the 8 souls, where humanity only became 120 years old. That's a cycle that we are in. So we see a smaller cycle within a larger cycle, and that's a similar thing about prophecy. You have a small cycle that has the appearance, the look and feel, all the attributes, but it's not the big one yet. It's just a holographic or a fractal of the larger. So in the same, we see it now with Bereshit, we see it with Noach, we see it with number 8, we see a new beginning. And in the same way, we stepped off from the topic of the 4 festivals and the 7th millennium, which I believe is a cycle on its own, just like this cycle with Noach is on its own. And it also has a beginning after the Great Tribulation, and it also has an end, which is the final battle of Gog and Magog. And then there is redemption, just like with Noach, and they step into the 8th millennium, or the 8 souls started the new cycle. So we see the same pattern. If you place that on the menorah pattern, you can see the symmetry and the repeating of the cycles. Now within the Gematria, we can look at in this Torah portion, I think within 2 of them I get the word circle or cycle that reaffirm and confirm this idea of time that is cyclical. From Yahweh's perspective, time is cyclical. You look at it from the top down, and it makes a perfect circle. When we look at time, we look at it from the side, and it's as if you see those springs that you pull out. When you hold it and they just hang down, you look from the top, it's a circle. When you look at it from the side, it looks like a sine wave or a spiral going up. And for us, time is like that. We see time as a starting point where you're born, and the end of your time cycle ends with being elevated, which is the top. And that's the definition of time. Time is just looking at eternity from another point of view. So if you look at it from the right point of view, from an elevated state, it's a perfect circle, and that circle continues with cycles within cycles. And you're not included in those cycles. You are above those cycles because you see it from a higher elevation. But once you're within a cycle, you see it from the side view because it happens within your realm. And then it looks like a sine wave or a up spinning a spiral that's got a beginning and an end. So don't be dismayed. Don't be confused. Time is eternal. It's an eternal thing. When Yahweh created time, it will never stop. But there's a realm above time. And those who are still to be refined will find themselves under the bondage of time, which is created on the 4th day. And number 4 is the work of Mashiach. So those entrapped in time will always be under the hand of Mashiach. the goldsmith, refining through the work of Mashiach, which includes the Torah, the Moedim, and all the things associated with it. And we discussed last week that the Torah existed prior to creation. In the same way, the Torah will exist in the next and coming cycles that happens in the lower realms, in order to elevate that, because the Torah is the means of the work of Mashiach. The Torah is Mashiach, and the Torah contains the Moedim, the cycles of the work of the Mashiach. So we see all of that happening over and over and over again. We also had a look at the blood of the Lamb, how that plays a part in Adamah, which is Dam. Dam is blood. Aleph connected to the blood is Adam. So we need the blood of the Lamb. We also need Yahweh in order to pour into the sand, which contains the entrapped souls, into that form and image, to fill it with blood and to fill it with breath. And then you have the essence of life flowing through the veins, and the breath of life, which is the neshama that connects you to Ruach, that connects you back to Yahweh, which is your final destination, or let's say your entry point into the next cycle. Now, in saying that, also I looked at the theme for this parasha. There's always a theme. Now, the theme of this parasha is called Naphal. Now, Naphal is the word that means to fall. The first place where this is found is where Adam was placed into a deep sleep, and he fell into a deep sleep. Now, that falling into a deep sleep is related to the fall of man. So where did the first fall of man happen? Was it when they ate the fruit, or was it prior to that? I believe it was prior to that, because Adam had to name the animals, and then he desired to be like the nefesh, which is an animal. And that desire was opposing to the desire to be like Yahweh, because he wanted a mate. So he wanted a portion in the world of duality where there's separation of male and female. And then Yahweh placed Adam into a deep sleep, which is Naphal, and he separated Chava and Adam out of Adam. And as you can see, after a fall, there's a separation process. Separation is part of creation. And it can be, if it's a fall backwards, it can be a recreation to bring it back up to where it fell from. Now, there's a lot of Naphals that happen from there. Since on, Chava was enchanted by the Nachash. She ate the fruit, gave it to Adam. There was another fall. They were separated from the garden. And then the first child was born, Cain. He got jealous of his brother Abel, and he fell. There was another Naphal when he killed his brother, and then separation took place. So Cain moved to the east side of Eden, in the land of Nod, Nun Dalet, and that separation then continued after Noah, where Noah planted a vineyard. He got drunk in his nakedness when he was exposed, and Ham saw his father's nakedness. There was another fall. There was another separation. So you see the pattern of the fall, Naphal, and separation is part of the deterioration of Yahweh's creation. And then the work of Mashiach is to restore back the Naphal back to where it's supposed to be. So we're going to continue that theme when we look at this parasha, and it's very fascinating because we see the result and consequences after every fall. There's an enemy that come into being, and we're going to look at each one of them, because those are the enemies we will find later on in the history of Israel. And now we look at where they came from. So exciting study. We delve a bit into Gematria to unearth the gems that tell us and connect the dots on these difficult questions. Where does this come from? Where does that come from? Why is this there? And so forth. I don't want to give it away now. I'll leave it for the Sabbath, so I'll keep you posted. I hope you have a wonderful day and be blessed. Shalom.